Hey everyone, Clay here. Just wanted to let you know I've got a new comic book out right now from Comixology Originals and Amazon. It's called Hardstyle Juice. It's a professional wrestling murder mystery, so if you're into pro wrestling and comics and all that good stuff, you're going to want to check it out. And it's free to read if you have Amazon Prime. It's a digital-only comic. If you want to check it out, head over to hardstylejuice.com, and that'll direct you right to the page where you can check it out. That's hardstylejuice.com. Thanks, guys. Hello! Welcome again to the Rotten Horror Picture Show, the horror movie podcast where we talk about films off the Rotten Tomatoes 200 Best Horror Movies of All Time list. My name is Clay, and with me as always is Amanda. Amanda, how you doing?
I'm good. I will say I fully expected this movie to involve more street harassment.
You figured it was just going to be someone talking at the screen directly to you, asking you to say.
Just the main character woman walking down the street and a bunch of randos going, "Why don't you smile?"
I was kind of a little surprised
Come
they didn't make that joke in it, but
you'd be so much prettier if you smiled.
Oh, thank you. We are talking about Smile, and before we get into Smile, last episode I said because of our little foray into the Evil Dead franchise, the next 5 films were going to be films that were on our list. And I would like to tell you all that I intended to keep that
Clay
promise.
Lied to you.
But the list has changed.
He lied to you and he lied to me.
I only discovered the list had changed when I sat down to record this. So what that means is Smile, the movie we're talking about today, which had been number 184 on our list, is no longer on said list. So, 184 with an asterisk, I suppose.
The kind of quality you've come to expect.
Yes. I have not had a chance to go through and see exactly all the changes. It seems like a lot of stuff has changed. The top 5 has really shuffled around quite a bit. 2 movies that I saw that I'm excited are on the list now are Late Night with the Devil and Oddity, which I'm very happy is on there because I really am excited to talk about that because I went to see that when it was in the theater a month or 2 ago, knowing nothing about it, and I thought it was fantastic. So
nice.
We'll get to that when we get to it. Anyway, Smile. This is number 184. On our list, it has an 80% Rotten Tomatoes score.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and a 77% audience score.
Huh.
Had you seen this before?
No. I'll be honest, I was kind of avoiding this one. I know it only came out like 2 years ago, and I saw like the marketing for it, and something about it just kind of made me go, meh.
Yeah.
I don't really need that. And I've seen it around since and heard it did well enough that they're making a sequel, etc. But just never really drew me in. What about you?
I had not seen it. One of the reasons I did want to cover it is because the second one is coming out, and I've seen the trailer for that many times at the theater recently, and I just could not get over the concept of turn around, creepy guy smile at you, dead.
Yeah.
Like, it just seemed so lame.
Yeah.
And it seemed to me, I had a certain reading of it that when I finally watched the movie, I don't feel like it has changed that much.
Yeah.
I liked it more than I thought I was going to.
Same.
But I still have some thoughts. Anyway.
Yes.
If we didn't have thoughts, I guess you could just shut it off now.
Wouldn't that be kind of hilarious?
You know what? I'm going to do this at the top because I keep forgetting to do this at the top. If you are enjoying the show, Excuse me. And you want to hear more of us, specifically if you'd like to support the show and hear us talk about the Halloween franchise.
Yes.
Head over to patreon.com/thepensky-file and join our Patreon. You can hear us talk about the Halloween franchise, the Friday the 13th franchise a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. We did Video Nasties. We did the second string of Stephen King.
Still impressed when you get that one right.
I know. It's the only one I have to think about.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're interested in that, interested in hearing more of us, if you're on a really long car ride and you're already caught up, drop a couple bucks. You'll have untold hours of Amanda being annoyed at the movies that I've forced her to watch.
That's not entirely true.
Not entirely.
I mean, it's mostly true, but it's not entirely true.
Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, play the trailer, which should give you enough time to sign up for the Patreon, and we'll be back in a minute.
What is it you like to talk about?
Hi, patient. Hi. I know you're nervous. I just want to have a chat.
I'm seeing something no one else can see except for me. It's smiling at me. Oh my God!
Yesterday, a patient in your care died brutally in front of you.
I need to find an explanation for what happened.
It's smiling at me. It's smiling at me.
You're going to die! You're going to die! You're going to die! You're going to die!
I found 20 cases involving 19 victims with a direct line linking them all together.
You said only 19. Why is it that everybody else who's seen it is dead and you're alive? I've seen it too.
You?
How long between each victim's death?
None of them survived longer than a week.
Today's my 4th day. I am not gonna keep running. I have to face it.
How does it make you feel?
I'm just really scared that something bad is going to happen. Rose.
Okay, Smile from 2022, directed by Parker Finn, written by Parker Finn, starring Sosie Bacon?
Sure.
Sosie, I'm going to say.
Sosie?
Sosie?
I don't know.
Anyway, it's Kevin Bacon's daughter.
Oh.
Caitlin Stassi, A-Train from The Boys, the goth kid from Jennifer's Body, Calamity Jane from Deadwood, and Kumar of Harold and.
Kumar, Harold and.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amanda, what happens in Smile?
After witnessing a bizarre, traumatic incident involving a patient, Dr. Rose Cotter starts experiencing frightening occurrences that she can't explain. As an overwhelming terror begins taking over her life, Rose must confront her troubling past in order to survive and escape her horrifying new reality.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
It's a pretty good summary. Well, Clay, some things that you'll find in Smile include a cat named Mustache.
Yes, a cat named Mustache.
Poor, unfortunate Mustache.
Did you know that was coming when she got to the party?
No. I figured the cat was dead because she was looking to feed it and didn't find it.
Yep.
But I did not assume it would be where it was.
I hadn't been thinking about it until she got to the party and they were kind of like slow-mowing. I was like, oh, I know what's coming.
Yeah. Cop plot.
Cop plot.
Cop plot.
Cop plot. This movie...
Mostly off-duty cop plot?
Mostly off-duty cop plot, which is, I guess, better.
And it is her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, it's more a personal cop
So,
plot.
yeah, I mean, it makes more sense that he's willing to be involved.
Yes. This does have a number of tropes from this style of horror movie
Yes.
that I don't love.
Okay.
Sort of love. I don't know. We'll get into
All right,
it.
we'll get into it. A drone shot of a driving car.
They all got them now.
Yep.
All these all these
ominously, slowly following it through
Yeah.
some sort of rural or semi-rural.
Yeah, all
area.
these mid-budget horror movies. They have at least one drone shot of a car driving
Still
down
looks,
the road.
Still looks cool though.
It does, and I mean,
I kind of get it.
it's cheap. Drones are easy.
Sets a scene.
Yeah, you can flip it upside down sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah, make it all creepy and disorienting.
You know what I liked about the one in this, or maybe I didn't like it. I don't know. Is it made me?
I have a feeling the theme of this episode for Clay is going to be, I didn't like this. Maybe I did like it. I don't
kinda,
know.
Yeah, there's the first, one of the first drone shots they do. Mm-hmm. The camera pushes in on the car, and it's driving. The car's driving down the street, and there's like trees and like autumn leaves and stuff.
Yes.
As it pushes through the trees, they put in audio of if the camera had actually pushed through the trees. So it's like rustling branches. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, is that cool? Or does that break the suspension of disbelief because you're bringing attention to the fact that it's a camera? And then as the camera comes in and kind of like levels out.
Or is it like a presence following her?
There was a part of me that thought the entire shot was CGI. So now I don't know what to think. I'm all mixed up. Is my smile actually a frown? I don't know.
It is one upside down.
That is, well.
Yeah. Anyway, you'll also find a lot of teeth.
A lot of teeth.
A lot of teeth.
Yeah, not only in the smiling faces, but in the eventual monster at the end.
Yes.
Many teeth.
Yes. Momster.
Momster.
Classic Momster.
Yep. When the monster from Smile then turns into the monster from Barbarian.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah. And you'll also find highly questionable parenting.
Yeah.
Probably outrightly bad parenting.
Yep.
I mean,
she was going through a lot.
She was going through a lot. That's why I'm saying highly questionable, because it was clear it was very bad.
Yeah.
But mental illness, man.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah, it's a killer. That should have
Good
been
night, everyone.
That should have been the tagline for this movie. So,
Yes.
Smile, also known as It Follows but Faces.
Also known as The Ring but Suicide?
Yeah, this is. I'm really of two minds about this because, on the one hand, like I said, I thought it was better than I was expecting.
PTSD Babadook?
Yep, a lot of Babadook. I thought the first half was better than the second half.
Yeah.
But this is like, and I guess there's nothing wrong with this inherently because, some of our favorite movies are the ones.
I have a feeling I know exactly what you're going to say.
Some of our favorite movies are the ones where the guy goes, yeah, I went to see Halloween, and I just said, well, I'll just do that.
Yep.
This feels like the writer watched all of the elevated horror movies of the last 10 years and just jammed them all together.
The one of like, but what if the monster is your trauma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got kind of the same backstory that they use in Evil Dead 2013 about the one character who's left with the mother and the other one leaves and there's tension there. It's got the Babadook stuff in it. It's got the It Follows monster type stuff in it. It's got
The Ring.
The Ring.
Yeah, you've witnessed something and now you're cursed and it's going to kill you within a week.
Yep. So it's
and
like
you have to go on a quest to try and figure out how to stop it. Yeah.
It's all of those things, but they are all done pretty well.
Yeah.
For the most part. So my concern with this movie.
Okay.
When I first saw the trailers and stuff is I said, this feels like a movie made out of a Reddit thread. Because the idea,
somebody's pretty well thought out creepypasta.
Yeah, it feels like a creepypasta.
Yeah.
And as I was watching it, I just kept thinking the same things, like this feels like a creepypasta. Because like there's something very like younger kid on the internet about this idea of I looked in the room and there was someone just smiling at me. Like I can't really put a fine point on what I mean, But it's like that sort of thing feels very much
But
of
then
a
Who
creepypasta.
Was Phone?
Then Who Was Phone?
Yeah.
It feels very much like creepypasta horror.
Yeah.
And
a little bit of this sort of like, oh, I grew up on these other movies.
Yeah.
So this is what a horror movie is.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to make it.
like if I saw a short film made by 12-year-old kids and this was the thing, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. That's just the kind of thing that they do.
I mean, I would say I'd be very impressed.
Yes. Obviously, if it was this caliber, yes, I'd be very impressed.
But I mean, even conceptually,
Yeah.
I'd still be like, oh, that's pretty creative. And like, I get what they're going for, that sort of uncanny valley thing of like, sometimes the most frightening thing is a human face when it's just wrong.
Sure.
Like,
Sure.
I think the imagery in this really works in a lot of cases. My all of my notes are like, there's some interesting stuff in here, and there's some great moments, and it looks good.
I
and
thought
the
it
sound
looked
design's
great. Yeah.
and all of that, and then all of my notes are like that, and it's like, but is this too much of a descendant of all the movies that came before it in the prior 15 years?
Yeah.
Like a little too directly the next version of it without doing anything new enough to sort of differentiate it or say like, I have absorbed what those prior movies have taught me and now I'm going to push it further and do this.
Yeah.
Instead, it kind of feels just like, oh, well, I could have just watched It Follows.
Right.
Or I could have just watched Hereditary.
Yep,
in a lot of
Hereditary.
ways.
I mean,
Like,
there's some Midsummer in there too with
Yeah.
the suicide stuff and
Yeah, and I get it. A lot of this stuff appears in so many recent horror movies because they are horror movie tropes of like the monster's not just a monster; it has something to do psychologically with the state of the main character.
yeah.
That's in a ton of horror movies.
Yeah, I mean, and like Talk to Me falls in the same.
Yeah.
We covered that, right? Yeah, we did that.
Yes.
And I think we talked about it then too.
Or
where it
even
has-
more recently, you could draw a lot of parallels between this and Longlegs.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The main characters are kind of similar.
That's true.
These sort of like
Yeah.
they're very independent, but there's something brittle about them
Mm-hmm.
where it's like they're holding it together, but just barely. And they've got like a dark secret in their past and a complicated relationship with their mother. And they're being pushed by some sort of supernatural force to go places and see things that other people don't.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
And if you want to go even more recent, because apparently we're in some sort of recency arms race, it's very similar to a movie called Smile that I just watched.
but what I'm saying is like, I understand that these tropes reoccur and these ideas are reused all the time in horror movies. I will say of the ones in the style that this one's in, this is the first one that made me feel kind of like, oh, this again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
I get it. It's good, but it's not. All right.
The most shocking thing about this movie is that it was rated R. Like, I just assumed
Yeah.
it was rated PG-13 till they started throwing F-bombs and cutting throats and stuff. But because it feels like,
Yeah.
you know,
I expected there to be more gore in this movie, given that it starts. I mean, it starts pretty boldly with the close up on the dead mom's face.
yep.
That's a pretty striking thing to start with, like a visibly and realistically dead body.
Right.
Like, we're not talking overwhelming gore. We're not talking anything that would make you feel like, oh, this is makeup.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks like a woman who's passed on her bed, and that's really upsetting for a lot of people, because a lot of people do find loved ones that in that state.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's, kind of an interesting way to start this movie, and then pretty quickly we get to Laura, the PhD student.
Yep.
And she fucking slits her own throat pretty graphically with a piece of broken pottery.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting things to escalate from there.
Yeah, they kind of don't.
They don't.
They escalate in that one little bit where you get the quick shot of the dude's face.
Yes, as I like to call it, the Ring homage.
The Ring homage, yes.
Yeah.
Which I'm not really sure even.
She even says
what happened.
The wife even says, I saw his face,
Yeah.
just like the mom in The Ring does. So I was like, that feels like an on-purpose reference.
Yeah. But like that was kind of a step
hammered
up.
himself.
Oh, that's
he
right.
bludgeoned
That's
himself
right.
to
He
death
hit
with a
himself
hammer, yeah.
But after that, it was kind of,
Yeah. Yeah, even some of the violence you see after that is either in a hallucination or it kind of looks, I don't know.
Video. On video.
On video, but even the one on video, you don't really see much. Yeah. But when she does kind of see some stuff that is gory or violent, it's often, I don't know if it's actually supposed to look realistic or if it's supposed to look a little over the top because it is a hallucination. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
that was the thing that surprised me the most, excuse me, is how weird they got with it in certain spots. Because I thought, watching the trailers, I was like, is this going to be an hour and a half of people just like smiling? Like that's
right.
Get
like
old
you walk past
quick.
A room and someone's in it just smiling.
Yeah, it's like,
and
that
then
works.
They follow you
once.
out and try and kill you.
Yeah,
that's kind of more what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be you see all these people with a creepy smile and they try to kill you.
Yeah. But so when they got to the bit with the sister, where she comes to the car and then her like
that was good. I liked that one.
So once they started doing that stuff, I was like, okay, we're getting a little weird. We're playing fast and loose with some rules here. Like, because the thing that I was, once she went to see the guy in jail and kind of learned the loophole.
Yes.
My first thought was, oh, well, I mean, if she just goes and secludes herself, she'll be fine.
Yeah.
Which she does.
Yeah.
And that obviously doesn't work because the thing just keeps fucking with her.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, all right. They understand the ifs, ands, or buts of this concept.
Yes.
They are showing you why that stuff won't work. And in doing that, it's allowing them to be kind of creepy and fun. And so I like that stuff.
Yeah, they clearly, the people who wrote and directed this movie obviously gave some good thought to their premise.
Yeah.
And sort of said, if we're going to do this gimmick, let's really iron it out. And they did a good job. I think they laid out the parameters of the curse pretty well, and they kept it simple enough that I buy that this has been able to continue. Is because it happens quickly enough and under the guise of, well, you've seen something really traumatic, so of course you're acting weird and upset, and then within a week you're also dead.
Yeah.
And then people kind of attribute it to, well, they saw this horrible thing and they had this other trauma in their past. So it's sad, but I'm not totally surprised that this person killed themselves.
Yeah. You know what's strange, though? Maybe it's not strange. I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of happy they did this. Again, theme of the podcast.
This has left you truly ambivalent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, once she learns the secret or the loophole, there's no point where she just considers killing herself. Because theoretically, if she had gone out to that house and just immediately put a bullet in her head, then with nobody around,
or lit the fire.
Yeah.
She I can't get access to a gun. I don't want to risk getting a gun because then I could really do some damage before I kill myself.
Well, it doesn't matter how she did it, but
yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, she could have done it in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And that never even crosses her mind because she says, I can't kill someone. And obviously the driving force is to survive the curse.
Right.
But she never looks at the option that would allow her to stop the curse from bothering somebody else.
Right.
Just annoying some
people. Yeah,
just
like a small...
And I guess you could read into that because her mother had committed suicides, but they never really...
Debatable.
That's true. They never really dig into the possibility of her killing herself.
Yeah.
And the reason that I say maybe I'm happy they didn't do that is because, like, I do think that there is... Not so much in horror movies as much as there is in like action movies and stuff. There is this weird kind of weird American thing where killing yourself for the greater good is like the most noble thing you could possibly do.
Yeah, that every protagonist is kind of just waiting for the opportunity to throw their own life away.
Right.
To be like, see how much I care about other people who aren't me.
Right. And it's the idea of sacrifice, et cetera, et cetera. But it happens so often that it feels kind of weirdly culty.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm happy they didn't go that route here for that reason, but also I think the biggest thing missing from this for me is I found myself thinking a lot about Drag Me to Hell as I was watching this. And the most fun part about Drag Me to Hell is when she figures out the rules, and then she is trying to decide who she should pass the curse on to and whether or not she can do it.
Yeah.
You know, like that stuff kind of pressing on the goodness of the person and her willpower. That stuff is really fun.
Yeah.
They get one scene out of that, and then that's just kind of it.
It's also... So in this movie, she's going to die either way if she's not willing to kill someone else.
Yeah.
If she's not willing to kill someone else in front of a witness and therefore spend the rest of her life in jail like that guy was, she is going to die. She can do it alone in a house at some point, or she can kill herself. So it is interesting that they never have her seriously contemplate, or even at all seem to contemplate, maybe I should just drive my car off this bridge.
Yeah. Because I guess I don't... If you're looking at it thematically, if the movie ends with her in the house confronting this monster and then choosing to...
Excuse me, it's a momster.
The momster. And then choosing to set herself on fire, blow her brains out, what have you.
Right.
Is that really any sort of victory? Because to everybody else, she's just completed the circle that her mother completed.
Right.
And she's just another, victim of mental illness.
Right. But
However,
she is in the end of this anyway.
That's true. However, she... Like, I guess what I'm saying is, like, not that these movies are meant to send positive messages or anything, but like, I don't... Is the positivity of winning by suicide so bleak in this instance that maybe we just don't do that? I don't know.
I think the thing is, if she decided to die by suicide, it would have been a choice.
That's true.
It would have been a choice that she got to make.
Yeah.
And it could have been a conscious effort to say, I will not let this particular cycle continue. I'm going to end it here. I'm not going to make anyone else take this on. So people might think what they think, but I know I'm protecting my loved ones. I'm protecting people from this thing.
Yeah.
Having her succumb to it is the scarier ending, but it is definitely the bleaker ending.
Yeah.
Then, it just continues. It's why we're getting Smile 2.
Yeah. I was happy.
Smile, Too Furious? I don't know.
Too Grin, Too Large.
Too Smile, Too Teeth?
Too Smile, 230. It's the time you go to the dentist.
That's bad.
Yeah, I was I was happy, I guess. Oh boy.
Make a choice, Clay.
Was I happy that they ended it the way that they did?
Smile or not smile?
I'm going to say ending.
I like how we're already at the ending.
Smile.
Yeah.
Smile on the ending.
Yeah.
I guess. Yes, I'm going to commit to smile on the ending. So I thought the first half was pretty solid. The smiling faces stuff was more effective than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I do wonder how much of the casting choices went into, like, now give me your biggest smile.
Yeah.
Bigger.
Well, that's kind of what was turning me off in the previews, especially in the previews for the second one. They found like these people with natural Joker faces, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like it's like it's a cartoon drawing of a person smiling like the Joker, and it's like this feels like I'm on the internet just watching this trailer. But the people in this one, they all had good smiles, but they were all still realistic for the most part. They weren't too exaggerated.
Yeah.
And I thought that stuff at the beginning was fairly effective. Again, it's a lot of stuff that I've seen other places. Like when she goes home,
a lot of walking around a dark house.
Yeah. When she goes home the first night and she sees the girl in the kitchen.
Yes.
Like in the darkness.
Yeah.
I immediately thought of Hereditary. They did the similar kind of thing. It's a lot of stuff. I mean, what is she doing? She's on the computer when they do that jump scare.
She's listening to, because she records her sessions, and she's listening to the minute the girl killed herself, and she keeps trying to hear something. She thinks she hears it saying her name.
Yeah.
And then it screams at her from the side.
That reminded me a bit of the Hill House jump scare towards the end of Hill House.
Yep.
Which is the greatest jump scare of the past 20 years, as
Yep.
far as I'm concerned. So yeah, it's tough because it's like, it's all fairly effective, but it is, it's kind of nothing new.
I like the one with the fake home alarm system phone call.
That was good. Yeah.
I like that one a lot because like you know something's not, you know something's going on, but having it be the phone operator and having her say like turn around, Rose, and when she does, it's like everything's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the stuff, the bit with when the therapist comes to the house, I thought was pretty good.
Yep.
Because that's where it got fun for me.
Right.
When
Right.
it's like,
where you start to get to see how she's losing a sense of what's real and what's not.
Yeah. And the fact that they do have this room to play where it's like, it's not just people smiling at you. We can do some like Freddy Krueger shit.
Right. Or like when I really loved when she has the nightmare that she has gone back to the hospital and decided to kill Carl.
Yeah.
And by the end of the nightmare, she's just stabbing him over and over again while he screams. They both just like scream at each other, and she looks like, "Oh my God, what am I doing?" And he's kind of laughing, and then the boss behind her just pulls his own face off.
I'm always here for a good face pull.
But when it just started like amping up like that, and then she woke up, I was like, all right, that was fun. That was like a fun bit of just let's really give everybody some adrenaline. Things have been a little slow lately.
Yeah, because I think once you hit about right about the scene with the cat, which is right about halfway. After that, it falls into the same thing that a lot of these movies fall into. It's kind of a classic second act for these movies, which is the go to the library act.
Yes. Yeah.
Which sometimes I really like and sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, especially when you add a cop into the mix, it's just like the figure out what's going on part of the movie,
right,
which can drag.
Yeah, and especially in this movie where like, the ex-boyfriend is a cop, so he can sort of feed her information. She doesn't need to do a lot to get it. Like, there's no real pieces to be put together here. It's just kind of, well, who was the person who killed themselves before the girl who killed herself in front of me, and then who was the person before that? It's really just, okay, there's a pattern. Like, the Laura or Lauren, I don't remember.
Sure.
The PhD student who kills herself in front of Rose tells her what's happening. So then the fact that we spend the back half of the movie figuring out what's happening, quote unquote, it's like, but we've already been told
a couple times.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if we needed to spend quite so much time on the but wait, what's really going on? Yeah. Oh, is it a demon?
And that's one of the things from my memory, because I haven't watched it in a bit, that I think It Follows avoids, because they never have that moment where it's like, all right, let's get on our bikes and go to the library.
Yeah.
I think there's, It Follows, I think the kid, after they sleep together, the kid kind of explains it to her very quickly and then runs away.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That's kind of it.
He's like, you need to find someone else to do it with. Bye.
Yeah, like, you've got versions of this like The Ring, where that part of the movie or that part of the story is interesting because they're digging deeper and uncovering new things and new creepy stuff.
Yeah, and it makes sense that she's able to do it because she is an investigative journalist.
Yes.
Like, it's her job.
Yeah.
In this, having Rose be a psychiatrist is kind of an interesting choice. I see what they're doing with it. It puts her in the proximity to encounter the girl who passes the curse onto her in the first place. It shows that she's sort of how much her past with her mother really impacted her whole life trajectory, that this is the career she chose and this is where she ends up. But part of what bothers me about that choice is she seems to slip straight into full-on crazy person really fast.
Yeah.
It's like, more than halfway through the movie, and she's like, well, today was day 4. And I'm like, it's only been 4 days? And you have alienated everyone in your life this quickly? Like, it is very freaky. But again, this is her whole job.
Right, yeah.
So I would have, I think, appreciated a little more tension from her of saying, like, I'm not seeing these things.
Yes.
I'm not seeing them, or I'm seeing them, but I know they're not real. I just need the right medication.
Well, yeah, you get that one scene where she goes and she asks for the pills, and the doctor's like, well, let's not give you pills right away.
Right.
And they never come back to that again.
Right.
The doctor's never like, I'm sorry, I should have given you the pills.
Right. Like, clearly you need an antipsychotic. This is bad. Even the fiance, like when she confesses what's going on to the fiance, she jumps straight to, like, look, there is an entity trying to kill me. And it's making me see things. She doesn't say, like, I think I might be having a psychotic break.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might need to go into a hospital. Like, I think maybe she had kind of done it more like that, and he had been like, no, baby, you're just exhausted. You've been through so much. I know you're worried about your history with your mom, but, like, I just think you need to rest. Why don't you come inside and go to bed? Like, and played it more like
just lay down. I'll smile at you.
But do you know what I mean? Like the lack of resistance to becoming the stereotype of a person going through some sort of break with reality feels a little bit like a misstep to me.
Yeah, I would agree.
Of giving her that role and then having her immediately start to sound like her patients so fast.
Yeah.
Rather than try and logic herself out of it or talk herself out of it or even fake it to others better of, like, she's seeing shit but, like, doing a better job of pretending to other people like she's okay. Like, she goes off the rails so fast.
She should just go to stand-up comedy plays. She'd never know. It would be normal. It's everybody smiling.
I'm sure that would have made her feel great.
Yeah, they also didn't. I thought there was an opportunity where they could have played up the her fear of ending up like her mother, which obviously they get into in the end. But I feel like the easiest bit to do here is she actually does get committed. And so, like, she's strapped to a bed.
Right, and somebody's looking at her family history and going, like, oh, yeah, you know.
And then on top of that, now you've got her, she's locked down.
Right.
And she can't go anywhere.
Right.
And now is this thing going to come at her? You know, like,
yeah.
Everybody who's walking by the door, everyone who stops, is this going to be, you know, that kind of.
Right. The orderly who comes in to restock the
lick
room.
her face.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, great. There is something, there are a couple things that this movie does do sort of in the background that there's one thing I'm thinking specifically of, and I'm not sure if it's intentional or if it was just kind of naturally occurring.
Mm-hmm.
The way other people talk about people who either really did have or because of this curse seem to have mental illness is really interesting, because there are a lot of people outside of the medical setting who at different points, the minute somebody does something weird or brings something weird up, they're like, what are you, crazy? Are you fucking insane? And it immediately becomes like fully derogatory, fully dismissive, downright aggressive at times. Rose is like kind of comes out of a hallucination and is like in the middle of the street and a car nearly hits her. And as she gets out of the way, he yells, what are you, crazy?
Mm-hmm.
And then later, when she tries to learn from the widow of the professor who killed himself, the one whose hammered face we get to see, once she starts getting a little too intense about her interest, and the wife kind of says, well, what kind of journalist are you? And Rose starts sort of begging. The widow's demeanor goes immediately from like sad and almost appreciative of just having someone to talk to like kind of soak all of this in with her. She gets really like, what are you, some sort of fucking psycho?
Yeah.
And it's quite a pivot.
Yeah.
And there's one or two other places, I think the fiance immediately being like, I don't want to attach my life to this.
Yeah.
I think it does an interesting job of using those kind of characters who are very much outside of the main plot to show how it could feel being a person with a severe mental illness trying to move through the world.
Yeah.
And how quickly, once people realize that you're not experiencing reality the same way as them, how quickly they're willing to turn on you.
Yeah.
And just be like, get the fuck away from me. Like, you're fully contagious.
Yeah.
Because even the prisoner who's escaped the curse he thinks of her as contagious. She can pass it along. And I think that is an interesting thing this movie does of treating, it's a curse, but it's mental illness. And is it, can people catch it from you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that stuff to be more effective too than the usual thing. I know I just said they should have done this, but the usual thing where it's like the Candyman thing where the husband has her committed or whatever, and it's like that works. But this one, having people, it's always done like, I'm just doing what's best for you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I love you. And here you get this immediate revulsion,
Yes.
which does feel a lot more impactful because it's a harsh rejection immediately instead of this sort of shining on of feigning support,
Yeah. I mean, even I think the only person who tries to really tolerate Rose once it seems like she's losing her grip is ironically her sister, who comes off like a huge bitch the first time you meet her, who seems really insufferable, and then whose child Rose traumatizes accidentally with her dead cat's body in a gift bag. When Rose tries to
Who hasn't gone to a 7-year-old's birthday and wanted to do something
with
like
a
that?
Dead animal in a package. But when she comes back to the sister's house, the brother-in-law is like, you need to get out of here. You shouldn't be here. We won't have you here. And the sister says, no, it's okay. I'll talk to her.
Yeah.
And comes out and actually tries to talk to her. And I think that's reflected in the fact that she too has had this very close contact with mental illness through her mother and sort of has an understanding of, this can be passed down, but that doesn't mean you're going to catch it. So she's almost a little more comfortable being in her presence, whereas everybody else is just sort of like, whoa, no, don't want to be around you anymore.
Yeah. I thought that scene was funny only because when they finally get to the breaking point, the sister says something to the effect of, well, you're working yourself to death and you're afraid of going insane, blah, 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 blah. And then her retort is something like, well, at least I'm not financially stable in a really nice house with a family. And the sister's like, you bitch.
Yeah. Well, I think, to be fair, I think she does say something like, you're a smug stay-at-home mom who lives in a bubble or something like that. So it's more offensive than just you're stable and you live in a nice house.
I know, but like comparatively, if that was me, I'd be like, well, I'm not crazy. Things are going okay.
Yeah. I do love that moment though, where she's in the car and outside the sister's house, and you kind of from the background see the sister reapproaching the car, and then when she gets there and she knocks on the window, her head
that was
spins
very good
down and she just starts screaming. It's a good scare because you literally see it coming. You just don't know what you're about to actually see.
The better scares in this movie are the ones that play with your expectation that something is coming, but you just don't know what it's going to be.
Right. And the other thing about that scene that's really tragic is the little coda to it where it cuts to the nephew, the 7-year-old nephew inside the house watching out the window as his aunt just screams in her car and bangs on the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like between that and the cat, you can see how she has sort of unintentionally infected him in a way with like he now has this really disturbing event in his memory. So he's gonna now have to grow up thinking, oh yeah, that time my aunt who was losing her mind
do you get
showed up at the house.
If you witness a disturbing event but it's not a death, do you get a smirk? Is there like a
just sort of a little grin?
It's a cursed demon that just sort of like
a Mona Lisa
chuckles
smile
at you a little bit.
Which make you get like paper cuts and splinters.
Puts a rock in your shoe every now and then.
But you know what I mean? Like for a movie that's really saying that the people who are best suited for this demon are those who've already experienced something traumatic in their life. And it's the idea of that sort of, especially adults towards children. I think the PhD student says like she watched her grandfather die in front of her when she was 10.
Right.
And then obviously Rose and her mother, and it's kind of this like psychic violence being perpetrated upon kids.
Yeah. One of the more baffling characters I've seen in a movie recently is the fiance. Not baffling because of the role he plays, but baffling because he just disappears. Like they set up this relationship, and then once the cop shows up, her whole kind of focus goes on to him for the most part, and then eventually the fiance just disappears, and it becomes the cop's movie.
I think I kind of understood what they were going for with that, because so one of my very first notes about the fiance is, wow, these two have no chemistry.
Yes.
They barely seem to know each other, let alone love each other enough to get married.
And it seems clear by the end that she didn't. She would have rather have stayed with the cop, but she ran away, basically.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's kind of the point, is that their attachment had been superficial. And that's why when things start getting really bad, like they would for a person going through severe mental illness, the people who don't really care tend to be the first people who drop out of your life.
Right.
So I get what they're going for, but it is weird. It's weird to have them living together and have him pretty intricately involved in the first half of the movie, and then
it's only
right, bye,
it's
bye,
really
Trevor.
only weird because I don't, for at least as far as I can remember, he doesn't get any real final scene, because the scene is his last scene is basically the intervention scene.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and then
I
he's
think
like,
he
should we
calls-
even be together?
I think he calls her. I think maybe you hear him on the phone.
Yeah.
Once after that.
But there's like no moment where he actively abandons her, which you'd think would be there. But
yeah, I don't know.
He is a busy guy. He's at work a lot.
Seems like it. I don't know what he does, but he seems very busy.
How did you feel about the momster?
I liked the momster. I thought the momster was pretty good. I thought it made sense for the movie that this creature would latch on to the image of her mother and make it huge and outsized the same way it feels inside of her brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was not ready for the you let your mother die part.
Yeah.
That was pretty dark.
Yeah. That you saw your mother who had a failed, seemingly very intense suicide attempt, because that opening scene showed a lot of empty pill bottles. A lot of empty bottles of wine.
Yeah.
And have her beg for help and have Rose just slam the door and run away is like, ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the implication is, and based off of what the sister says at some point, that things were so awful that the mother treated them so poorly that's why Holly, the sister, had to get out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was not expecting this child let this person die.
Yeah, that was pretty intense. I can see where the guilt would come from in that situation.
Yeah, it does make the fact that she hasn't gotten over this at all make a lot more sense.
Yeah, and that she's dedicated her life to actively helping people instead of actively letting them die.
Or passively letting them die.
Passively letting them die, yeah. Can you I guess can you actively let somebody die, but it's only by being passive you could do that.
I feel like actively letting someone die is killing them.
Or
you can't.
If you're actively letting someone die, I feel like you'd have to go, I'm letting you die, which she kind of does.
Or make a specific, take an action that causes a person's death rather than refuse to take an action that could save them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be the dog in Beetlejuice, where you jump off the piece of wood that's holding the car up.
I see. Yes.
Versus Rose in this movie, who just chooses not to call 911.
Yeah.
That's my mark.
Hey, the lines of morality blur every day.
We gotta try and draw them where we can.
I liked the momster,
but you also didn't.
But I also didn't.
Is your assessment of this movie just in an effort to not have any facial expression so that you don't have to smile?
Yeah, I'm just sort of like the emoji with the straight line.
Yeah, the line face, yeah.
I don't know. The reason that I keep saying that is because the negative swing of that pendulum is always because it's stuff that I've kind of gone, yeah, I've seen this done better other places. Like even the Momster, it's like they did the giant thing in It Follows. They did the giant thing in Barbarian.
Yep.
By the time I'm watching this, I'm like, yeah, it's creepy.
Do you like it more when it pulls its face off and sort of
I
reveals
like that
itself as what it actually is?
I liked
mouths
it.
and mouths and mouths.
Yeah, I liked it when it was really getting in her face before it pulled its own face off. But yeah, I think I guess at that point I don't really know what I want. Because it's a really tough thing to wrap up, right? Like, if you're going to show this thing, what does it look like? Oh, like a giant mother.
Everyone's worst nightmare.
Yeah, everyone's mother.
Love
Just big. But yeah, I mean, I think it works for what they're doing, like you were saying, because it is such a memory that looms so large.
Right.
And then the actual skinless smile monster thing was cool.
Yeah.
I loved when she set it on fire.
Yeah.
Usually CGI fire stuff like that doesn't look great.
Yeah, that one looked good.
That one looked really good. I don't know if I've ever really seen one like that where it's like it felt like an old school fire walk, but it clearly was a CGI monster.
Yeah.
That was good.
How did you feel about the almost happy ending fake out?
I liked the fake out.
Yeah.
Because when she left the house and the house was burning, I was kind of going, that was kind of easy.
Yeah.
You know,
I was too.
Like at that point, I was like, I feel like this is the nadir of this style of movie because she literally just solved the problem with psychotherapy.
Right. She therapized herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. In less than a week.
Yeah.
Got over her lifelong trauma.
She did it in like 8 hours. But so yeah, I liked the fake out. I also liked that it came after she spilled her guts to the cop, and you know they set it up as being this sort of where it should have been a reunion.
Yes, a romantic moment at the end.
I also really liked the recreation of the Alien 3 shot with the therapist, where she's got her hand over her mouth and then she comes in and she's like drooling.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty good.
A lot of saliva right up in her face.
Yeah. Let's see. What else? I like the way it looked. It looked
great.
I've been really down on digital filming lately. I'm not really sure why. I just feel like it's just a lot of it looks like crap, and you can really tell. And I think a lot of movies are taking the fact that you don't need to light things as well as an excuse to not light things as well.
Yeah.
But this I thought was very creative in its design. Like the hospital especially.
Yes.
I thought was really cool. And her office, the way she had the kind of blue walls and then the pink with the light coming through the window was really cool.
Yeah, the weird sort of pastel vibes in there that sort of were like obviously supposed to be soothing but are kind of off-putting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just nicely designed in a way that was a lot of times when movies do this now, they can go way too garish with it.
Yes.
Or way too understated. And I thought they found the right balance where it's like, this is a well-constructed image.
Yeah. And the stuff at the hospital, especially in like the patient meeting room, some of the furniture almost looked like dollhouse furniture when it's just sitting there. But then a character would walk up to it and sit down and you were like, oh, it's real. It's real. It's full-sized. It's just kind of slightly uncanny and it gives you like an uneasy feeling, but it looks really cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought even the stuff that was lit very darkly looked good still. I always appreciate a movie with a lot of house porn in it, and there were some really nice houses in this.
I really liked the way her house was laid out because it had a lot of turns in it.
Yes.
So, you know, once you start doing that thing we've talked about many times where you start looking into the crevices and you're expecting something to come from around the corner.
Yep.
Lots of corners in that house.
Yes.
So basically everywhere she moved had a potential
other
blind
direction.
spot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought the sound design in this was really cool too. Like the soundtrack, they use like weird instruments.
Yeah, it reminded me of another soundtrack, but I can't off the top of my head think of what it was.
I mean, it almost reminded me of the NBC Hannibal show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of the music and sort of those sort of like discordant.
Yeah.
things that happen in reminded me a lot of that. Yeah.
So Smile.
So are you excited for Smile too?
Part of me is, because when I've seen that
part
trailer,
of you isn't.
Part of me isn't. When I see the trailer for Smile 2, the setup being the main character is like a pop star is really interesting. Have you not seen the trailer?
No.
Oh, okay. So
or maybe I did and just I don't remember.
That setup for this premise is interesting, but the rest of the trailer is so much like goofy Joker face stuff that I'm like, I don't know. But after seeing this, I probably won't see it in theaters.
Yeah.
I'll probably watch it when it comes out.
Yeah.
I was thinking, though, I think there's a lot of fun you can have with the concept as you go into a sequel. Like, I was thinking it would be cool if you have this, a guy who's got the smile disease, passes it on to who becomes the main character. And then another person who seems to know what's going on comes in to try to help.
Yeah.
And then later on, you find out that the person who's helping is the one who gave it to the first guy.
Oh.
And so he's got some guilt issues. There's this interesting sort of shuffling around of this concept. I think you could do instead of doing the same thing every time.
Triangulate people a little weirdly.
Yeah, because again, it's a weird, like, if you choose to survive this thing, you are actively killing somebody. And so
yes, you're not just actively letting them die either. You're murdering them.
Yeah, and if you really think it out, you could do it without getting caught. It's not like I've been doing that right now as we sit here. The zip ties on my desk are just for show.
Yeah, that person crying in the closet, nothing to do with anything.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Great.
But you could, if you thought it out, there's ways that you could do it if you were willing to be cold-blooded, Well,
it becomes interesting because you can think about it similar in Talk to Me, how the supernatural thing gets gamified. Mm-hmm. So there's an opportunity for that,
Where it's half Smile, half The Purge.
Yeah, maybe, or it becomes some sort of like...
What happens if the person with smile disease kills somebody, right, to try and survive it?
Okay, you have to do it in front of a witness.
You have to do it in front of a witness. What if there's 4 people there? Do they all get the smile disease?
Right. I don't know.
That's fun. Are there 4 momsters in that case? Or does the momster have to split time?
I think you get your own unique momster.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Like Big Mouth, where they each have their own.
Yeah, their own hormone monster. I don't know.
An army of smile people. What does that look like?
Creepy.
This movie writes itself.
Does it though?
What if one person has smile disease?
What if one person smile disease?
And then you get smile disease from a different smile monster, and then they have to fight. So you pit your smile monsters against each other. That's the only way you can survive.
Why wouldn't each smile monster just kill the person?
I don't know. That's what the movie's for.
I don't think these are very good ideas, Clay.
Could you survive smile disease? What if you did it in a mirror? So you kill yourself. You kill yourself in a mirror. So you're technically doing it in front of someone who's watching it. So then you nullify the smile monster.
But then you still die because you just killed yourself.
What if you have someone waiting there to bring you back to life?
I mean...
Although it does say you have to kind of make a mess.
I was going to say, I have a feeling when it makes you kill yourself, it doesn't do it neatly.
Yeah. Can you fake out this? Probably can't fake them out, huh?
I don't think so. They're in your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the difficulty.
Smile Monster versus Ringu. Who wins?
Oh, man. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
Are you excited for Smile? What are your final thoughts on this movie? Did you like it? Are you in the middle like me?
Yeah, I'm also line mouth about this one.
Line mouth?
I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah. Would you recommend it?
to someone else who also liked horror movies, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be like, yeah, give it a watch. There's some fun moments in it. It kind of retreads some ground you'll be used to, but there's a couple good scares, a couple good images. It's well made. To people who don't already like this kind of thing, I would just be like, yeah, you can skip it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to become the next Get Out, where it's just, ubiquitous in pop culture and you need to know what happened and to understand the references that other things are going to start making to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's really still sticking on me that for some reason, of all these types of movies, this one is the one that feels most derivative to me and therefore like least worth it.
Yeah.
And I can't really tell you why this one specifically has crossed that line for me, where it's gone from, well, it's retreading some familiar ground, but it's still really fun and cool.
Yeah.
Or I still really like it. Something about this one, it's like, well, it's retreading too much of that ground.
Do you think it has to do with the actual mechanic being so simple? Whereas like Babadook,
yeah,
you need a couple sentences to explain that one.
Right. Some people would say you need a whole pop-up book.
Yes. Hereditary, you probably need a couple sentences.
You
to
might
really
need a
explain that
book
one.
to explain that one too, if you really want to.
It Follows. You can explain it, but there's still kind of some stuff it's a little different. This one's like, oh yeah, people smile at you, and it's scary.
Yeah.
Let's do a trauma thing.
The mechanic of it might be part of the problem. I think that as much as we do get a lot of Rose's backstory with her mother, we don't really get. There's not great characterization in this movie. Everybody's pretty flat.
Yeah.
When we meet Rose, she's not a particularly compelling character.
Right,
all right, she's a workaholic. Is she good at her job?
Great question.
I don't know. I can't tell. All right,
the first guy you see, she's like, "Yeah, I can't help this guy," and then the second
like,
one kills
no
herself.
one can help this guy. And part of that is, the futility of trying to
Right.
treat chronic mental illness is
Yeah.
like you don't just cure it. And even if you get people to a point where they are doing better, that doesn't mean they're going to be doing better forever. People relapse all the time. People have different sort of events that their meds stop working for them. So I get it. Some of it is like to mark the futility of the work.
Yeah.
Of it's just unending. There's always going to be another person who needs help, and there's never enough resources for everyone. But when we meet her, she's already so shut off and closed up, like emotionally. Like she's so closed down and like doesn't like she clearly focuses on work. Her house is like beautiful and very sterile. Her relationship with her fiance is beautiful and very sterile.
Yeah.
Their social life seems to be also very sterile. And so it doesn't give you...
Do they even kiss?
They do, but it's like, we have been married for 40 years and just
A lot of tongue, right?
don't do anything anymore. And so it's a very like, mwah. Do you know what like there's no... She like sticks her face out.
Oh, sure.
I'm doing it like away from the mic. She sticks her face out and leans towards him.
Yeah.
And that's it. There's no like body contact. Really? So it's very like, put a pane of glass between us,
Sterile,
like that
yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that's part of why it doesn't work for me, and part of why things like the Babadook are more compelling, because you really get a sense of the main character's desperation in that movie.
Yeah.
Or even Hereditary, the sort of like dissolution of the family unit that you watch happen as everybody slowly melts down. You just I don't know, it feels much more like they had so much to lose.
Like their child's head.
Yeah, like heads and limbs and all sorts of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why this one kind of doesn't quite work for me, and I can't point to a specific failing. I can just sort of give general vibes.
Yeah, I don't
Vibes are
know.
off.
I don't know if I would recommend it.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be recommended to me
Yeah.
by a 15-year-old family member.
Yeah. Yes.
Like if I was at a wedding.
I could see a 17-year-old going to see this
Yeah.
with their friends and being like, that movie is fucking crazy.
Yeah, if I was at like Thanksgiving and I ended up in one of those conversations with like a young family member and I was like, yo, yeah, I like horror movies. They're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
Uncle Clay, have you seen Smile. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's like, oh my God, it was so good. Like,
I have a friend I'm seeing this weekend, and I could very much imagine her saying the same thing to me. She is not 15. She is like 46.
15 at heart.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, whatever. Child at heart.
Anyway, I think that's going to do it for Smile.
For this movie, we are clearly very ambivalent about that we technically didn't even have to do because it's not on the list.
I mean, and this is not exactly praise, but I feel like my final thought on it is you could do worse.
I'm interested to see what this director goes on to do.
Yes.
Because I think it looks really good and there's a lot of great choices being made in it. I just don't know if maybe the premise was a little off. You know? Like maybe if given a slightly different type of project, what this person could do with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. See if they've done anything else. Just mumbling into the computer while I look up stuff online. Parker Finn has glasses.
Sounds like a made-up name.
It does. This seems to be the first thing that he's done. And he has he did Smile too.
Well then.
So branching out in the world.
Aw.
Yeah, it's
Come on,
fine.
Parker Finn.
It's fine.
You seem to know what's up.
You got to do what you got to do.
Should try some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Smile, no longer on our list. House of the Devil, no longer on our list.
Aw.
A lot of stuff moved down. So I'm curious to see.
What all moved up?
Yeah. Because we got pretty much everything that I've seen so far, with the exception of 1, 2, 3, 4 movies, has either stayed the same or moved down, with the majority moving down. And I was going to look up something. The next movie we're going to do,
it's important.
I hit the randomizer button. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop. And it may be too on the nose, but the next movie we're going to do is number 73, which is Barbarian.
Yay! I fucking love this movie.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a fun one to talk about.
Spoiler alert, I'm excited.
So that's going to do it for us for Smile. Thank you guys for listening. As I said before, if you'd like to help support the show, head over to patreon.com/The Penske File. Follow us on Patreon. You can listen to our coverage of the Halloween films. We're just in time for the holiday itself. We're getting into the 2 films by Robert Zombie in the in the Halloween franchise, which we've covered one so far, and Amanda loved it. So she's looking forward to part 2.
Yeah. So exciting.
Yes, so pay money to hear it. And
do you want to hear me yell at Clay?
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Amanda.
Thanks, Clay.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.